What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. Today is the first in what will hopefully be a new series here. It all depends on my laziness factor, but it is the weekly report, and it's going to be a quick video that I hope to release every Monday that will basically go into what I've picked up for the week, what I plan to pick up for the following week, what I read the previous week, what I wrote the previous week, what I watched, what I'm going to watch, what I'm going to read, what I'm going to write, just basically keeping you in on my progress of what I'm doing in the world of entertainment and all that good stuff, all that jazz. But that's enough of that. Let's just dive right into this week's weekly report. There wasn't a lot on the movie front this week. I did not go that hard. What I did go hard on, though, are my books. I found a used bookstore here on the island, and I decided to pop in and see if I could find some good stuff, and I ended up walking away with a lot of good stuff that I got for a very good price. So we'll kick it off first with the movies, and then we'll move on to the books, and then I'll tell you what I was watching this week, what I read this week, and what I have been working on. So for this past week, all I picked up from last Tuesday's releases was this Steelbook edition of West Side Story. I really freaking like this Steelbook. That looks so sick right there. And then you got the inside. It's really dope. I really like this movie. If you want to really see my thoughts on this movie, go check out At the Link podcast, who has dropped an episode featuring us where we talked about all the Oscar movies. Then I picked up the new Vestron release, Dream a Little Dream. We got the two Coreys. I've yet to watch this, but I will pop into it at some point. Those are the only new ones that I got, but I did also happen to, thanks to the Disc Father on Instagram for posting this and letting us know that they had gotten some more in at Best Buy. I was able to jump on it before they were sold out again, and that is the beautiful Steelbook of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I was super bummed that I didn't pre-order this and that it sold out quickly while I was away and I didn't manage to grab it. But I am so happy that it was able to come back on shelves and I was able to pick it up before it sold out again, because this is one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen, and it's great to have it in the collection like this. Next up, we have our book pickups, and these are all these book series that I've been trying to collect. I'm a huge Stephen King and Michael Crichton fan, so obviously I'm trying to collect as many of their books as possible, so to pick up stuff that I didn't also have. And then there's some other stuff that I wanted to pick up to either read for the first time or other authors that I really like that I wanted, so I picked up a whole bunch of good stuff. It starts with The Dead Zone. I have a whole bunch of like these type of covers of Stephen King for his books, so I'm trying to pick up all the ones that I possibly can that they released. So The Dead Zone is one that I needed to pick up to add to that collection. This is also a book I've yet to read of his, so I'm super excited to get that so I can finally dive into it. Another one's Dolores Claiborne. It's another one kind of like the other that I have all these types of covers, so this was another one that I had to hop on. This is another Stephen King book that I haven't read that I need to, so a lot of good stuff that I could dive into and read. A book that I read that my uncle actually gave me when I was a kid. He didn't give me to keep, he just let me borrow it so I could read it, and I fucking loved it and always wished I could have my own copy, and now I do, is the original Jaws. Fucking love this book. Read it when I was in high school. It's really freaking good. If you can snag yourself a copy to read this book, you absolutely should, because it is super interesting. Has some differences from the movie, but not so much that it's it changes a lot. I mean, there is a few changes, especially in regards to one certain character, but it's a really good fucking book that you should check out. And then I also got Needful Things by Steven Spielberg. Stephen King is another book of his that I had to read that I hadn't in the collection, so I'm glad to add that one in there. And then books that I had as a kid that I wanted to start recollecting again because I had so many of them, and now I want to try and collect the entire series of them just to have, and that is the Goosebump books. I was able to get 2 through 5 for right now. We got Stay Out of the Basement. We've got Monster Blood. We got Say Cheese and Die. And then we've got The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. I think there's like 60 in this original line that I want to pick up and get through. So hopefully I'm able to find all those at some point. If anyone has any clues as to where I can hop in and snag some Goosebump books, let me know down in those comments. The one Michael Crichton book that I didn't have that I needed to add to this collection is the one Michael Crichton book I have left to read also, and that is Disclosure. I've seen the movie, love the freaking movie. I've been looking for this book for ages. Was able to find it for like $3 at this used bookstore. I was super excited for that, so I can't wait to read this. I picked up Stephen King's Misery. This is a cover that I needed. I had the hardcover of Misery, so I wanted a paperback to go with it. So I was able to pick that one up. I got The Green Mile. It's a really sick looking cover for it too. This is another one. I have the hardcover for The Green Mile when it first came out. So now to add a paperback to it is also really awesome. And then I got, these two kind of go together, so I'll pick that one up. I've only seen the movies, never read the books, so I thought, I saw these at the used bookstore for really cheap, so I thought, why not get them, give them a shot, see how they hold up against the movie. And that's the Bourne Identity, and then the Bourne Supremacy. They didn't have the Bourne Ultimatum. Well, they did, but they only had the, like, actual movie tie-in cover where it was, like, Matt Damon on the front, and I don't want that. I want these, like, old-style covers. So I got to search for the Bourne Ultimatum at some point to finish out those series. Another author of mine that I really like, whose books I'm trying to collect all of, and that's Nelson DeMille. Get this book, Upcountry. This was a paperback of his that he had that was super cheap there, so I had to pick it up. Super excited to get this one to read. He's also one of my favorite writers. And then finally, I picked up this really sick looking cover for Sphere. The Michael Crichton's books are always freaking awesome. I have the movie tie-in Sphere book that I had gotten when I was a kid. And the book is all right, but I never really liked that cover, so it's cool to get a cover that looks like this. One of the old original covers is really sick. And then last from the used bookstore, I picked up Michael Crichton's Timeline and the hardcover. I only had the paperback version, which I love this book. Not the biggest fan of the movie, but the book I freaking love. So I got the paperback long ago when it first came out. So to add this hardcover with the original cover on there is really sick. And then finally, I got the last two books in the book series that I'm reading right now, which is The Expanse. I've plowed through the other 8 books already. Last week when I picked all my stuff up, I picked up the 8th book. I finished this one already, read it in like 2 days. It's really good. And then right now I'm about, as you can see, a little over 100 pages in. I just started it the other day. The last book in the series, Leviathan Falls. This has been a fucking incredible book series. If you like any type of science fiction, fantasy style writing, adventure series, pick The Expanse up because you can do a lot worse than this. These books are freaking phenomenal. I'm going to put up a ranking video at some point once I finish this, ranking all of my favorite from best to worst in this series. Movie-wise, you can check out my Letterboxd to follow along with everything that I'm watching. I didn't really watch much this week. It was mostly just new movies. I call it Turning Red with my girlfriend. We also watched X and Deep Water. Deep Water we watched last night. Doozy of a movie, very silly. I do not recommend. So I only got to around like 3 movies this week. This upcoming week, I don't know how much I'm going to get to, simply because I'm leaving for Disney on Friday, not coming back till Sunday. So this weekend I won't get to watch as much. So I won't really get to see The Last City yet, or Everything Everywhere All at Once. I probably won't be able to get to those until I come back, unless the keys unlock early at my theater, in which case I could screen it before it comes out and hopefully get to it before I leave for my trip. But that's very up in the air. We do not know if that's going to happen or not. As far as previous weeks that have just come out, this past weekend, so much shit came out that it was tough to follow up. And so I'm hoping this week I could get onto Netflix and watch Windfall that just came out with the Jason Segel and Jesse Plemons. I'll try and suffer through the Disney Plus's new version of Cheaper by the Dozen. I want to get to the theater to see The Outfit and Uma. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that, though, as I said, because this week I have work and then I leave for Disney on Friday. So who knows what I'm going to get to with my movies, but those are my plans for this week, movie-wise, that I hope I could sink my teeth into, even just a few of those. But it all depends. Tomorrow at Best Buy, a lot of shit comes out. It is going to be a huge day for movies tomorrow. The big ones that I am picking up are going to be the Godfather Trilogy in 4K. I'm super excited for that. We actually have the first Godfather at my theater right now. That's another movie that I want to get in and see on the big screen. I think would be awesome, but God knows if I'm going to be able to or when I'd be able to. So hopefully we can snag that one out. Also picking up the Hunger Games full collection Steelbook set. Looks really awesome. I like all the designs on it. Got to get my Steelbooks, baby. They look great. Love having them in the collection. And then Nightmare Alley is also releasing a decent looking Steelbook that I'm hoping to pick up. I know Eastern Promises also comes out from Kino Lorber tomorrow. I'm going to pick that one up eventually. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow simply because the price tag right now for it coming out is a little bit high than I'm wanting to spend. I think it was close to like $40, which is not something I'm looking to spend for Eastern Promises on 4K. I'll get it at some point, but hopefully there'll be a sale or something down the line, or it drops in price pretty quickly where it's a more manageable price for me to want to pick up. But those will be the movies that I'll be picking up tomorrow, and hopefully watch some of those also during the week. Those ones are easier to watch simply because I don't have to go all the way to the theater to catch them. So hopefully we could start diving into some of those before I leave for Disney on Friday. Book-wise, I plan to finish this week that last book in the series of The Expanse, Leviathan Falls. I read anything under 500 pages is a cakewalk for me. I read very quickly. So I imagine I'll probably be done with that book before I even leave for Disney on Friday. I'll finish this some point either tonight or tomorrow while I'm at work, while I'm waiting for movies to break later on in the night. I'll crack that out. And then I'm going to dive into Disclosure by Michael Crichton because I really want to finish. I really wanted to read that book. I've been waiting for that book for a while. So I'm going to dive into that. And then I'll probably dive into one of the Stephen King books that I haven't read yet. And I also, while I do all this, I read the first of those Goosebumps books that I got, Don't Go Into the Basement. So I'm going to read the next one, Monster Blood. Those ones are like 100 pages. So like I could read those in like one sitting. So I'll just bang out those at some point this week also. And hopefully get through at least, I'll get through all the Goosebumps, probably the Michael Crichton book, between the two flights to Disney. I'm sure I can knock that book out also. So hopefully I should have a bunch of books done by next week. Last but not least for collecting before we get to what we're writing is I was able to get the poster for Turning Red. This really nice poster, which also has, I don't know if you can see it, yet it has the release date from March 11th, back when it was supposed to still come out in theaters, which it didn't. So hopefully at some point this will be a nice little collector's item that might go for a fair price. Not that I would ever sell it. I love collecting these, and I'll keep this. I don't care about making money off of it. I just think it's cool that I have. Now, a release date for a movie that never actually came out in theaters. So that is the one poster that I got this week. And last but certainly not least is what I am working on. So for those of you that don't know out there, I am also a writer. I went to school for screenwriting. I majored in English while I was in college. I love telling stories. I love writing. So I spend a lot of my free time that I don't also spend reading or watching movies or playing video games, writing. And what I'm working on right now is a series. I wrote a pilot episode of a television series based on a group of kids in 2005. It's like a That 70s Show type sitcom. That basically follows the last generation of kids that grew up without smartphones and all this internet technology and everything. It's basically kind of like a life story of how I grew up in my hometown with my friends and all the silly shit that we got up to in suburbia. So it's a very fun sitcom that balances all of the different forms of comedy that I grew up on. Marx Brothers, Zucker Brothers, Mel Brooks, Judd Apatow, all those people all rolled into one, while also being a celebration of all the movies that I grew up on, while also just being a very filthy comedy about these kids that grew up that had nothing to do in this town but go out, drink, get into trouble, and just figure out who they were going to be as people. So that's what I've been working on right now. I finished the pilot episode a while ago. It's one of my bread and butters. It's actually at a few screenwriting competitions right now. I'll keep you guys posted on that, how it does. Hopefully it does pretty well. And then right now I'm trying to turn it also into a book where it'll just be like a collection of short stories, and each story is a different episode of something insane that they got into. And so this week what I did is I finished the first of those short stories. It ranks in about just around 110 pages, and it is titled Manhunt. I won't tell you too much more about that. I'm going to wait until I have all these stories done and edited and whatnot, and then maybe I'll do voiceover ones that I'll put on YouTube so that people can listen if there is a market for that. I don't know. But that's what I'm working on right now. That is what I just finished, is the first short story titled Manhunt. I'm now going to spend this week with my free time working on the next short story in that series, which will be about a Halloween dance. So that's what I'm working on for this upcoming week. That is pretty much everything. Hopefully, with these weekly reports, I'll just be able to come in and bang out quickly all the stuff that I'm doing, reading, writing, video game-wise. If I'm doing anything, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Liberation right now, but we're not really going to go too deep into that. I'm just playing it. There's really not much more to say than that. And then everything that I'm working on writing-wise. Next week's one will probably be very short and sweet because I don't really see myself picking up too much stuff besides what I'm picking up tomorrow at Best Buy. Maybe I'll show you whatever fun stuff that I buy from Disney this weekend, because I'm sure I'm going to get some really cool pins and all this other stuff. So next week will probably be nice, short, and sweet, but that will be next week's report. If you tuned in for today, thanks for joining us. If you didn't, you don't care, you're not here. But until that next report, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies, the books, the video games, the entertainment that we love. And until next time, adventure on.